everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the Bellinky linker in action, seaming two pieces of knitting. So in order to do that, first we need to have something to seam. So I'm making a couple of swatches, and then I'll show you how to link them. So for this I'm just making some lace on one of my new machines, a Brother 940, which by the way is amazing. So I'm just going to take a few passes with the lace carriage here. And then a couple of passes with the regular knit carriage. And then I'm going to just take this piece off the machine. You can cast off if you want, or you can just leave open stitches. It's up to you. So then you'll need to thread the Bellinky. And there are instructions for that in the manual. You can find that online if you don't have it. First is the top thread guide. Then this second bar here. There's a lot of little thread guides. So it's important, I think, to have the manual so you can see which order they are to go in and make sure you don't skip any. But it's really actually quite simple. Next is through the tension discs. There's another guide here. A little bit tricky. If you had a needle threader, that would probably help. And just make sure you go through all of the guides without skipping any. For this, I'm actually using a really thin yarn. I think it's a 2/24, and that seemed to work pretty well. I just actually got the Bellinky about a week or two ago. This is only my first or second time really trying it out, so I'm no expert, but this one has seemed to work pretty well. And when you're threading your needle, at the end here, there's two guides on the left-hand side and then the needle. Make sure you go from left to right. It's not a front to back needle. So once you get that all threaded, just pull some extra thread through and hang the end up through this little spring just to hold it out of the way. So the next thing you need is the comb, and I don't have a full-length shot of this because I only have a really long comb, but there are short ones as well. And for this, we're going to do just a regular seam. So I'm putting my first piece of knitting down right side up onto the pins of the comb, 1 stitch per pin, and do make sure you're being pretty careful with this because it is a little fiddly to make sure you get everything lined up where you want it, but it does save you time. Instead of mattress stitching, you just have to kind of put your knitting on the pins, so it saves time in one way, but it is a little fiddly, and if you don't do it correctly, it won't obviously seam properly, so it's important to get it lined up nicely. So that was the first piece here. And then the second goes right side down so that the two right sides are together. And just push that on all the way along. As well, line it up how you want. I've only gone 1 or 2 stitches in from the edge. And then we need to put the comb onto the machine. You just slide it on from the end like that. When you hit the wheel, it'll start clicking. That's normal. All the way along, make sure your knitting is to the left and out of the way. And put it all the way so that there's only 1 pin space between your needle and the work. Lower the presser foot, hold your end of your thread up out of the way, and you're ready to go. So the next step is take 1 stitch before the knitting, holding that end very tightly, and then just keep turning in the direction of the arrow all the way along, and it's chaining, making a nice chain stitch all the way along your piece. So on the top, it's just a regular like straight stitch looking stitch, but then on the back is where the chain is. I hope that makes sense. Just go all the way along your piece, and then continue right off the end for a length of about 5 centimeters, and then turn the wheel backwards a couple times to release it, and then just snip it. So you can see the chain at the end here, and this is what it looks like. Just pull it off the pins, and it's all stitched together. You can't really see it because of the white on white, but there is a chain stitch showing up here on the bottom side. It's really hard to see, and it's nice and stretchy. As we flip it right way out, you can take a look at what the seam looks like. It's nice and sturdy, It's not too loose, although this was a piece I did earlier and I did increase the tension for the next piece, but I still think it looks great. It's definitely something I will use in the future on a garment. And you can seam your side seams, like seam your rows as well. You can do pin tucks. There's all kinds of cool things that I was reading about. So it's definitely something I need to practice with more, as you can see by the piece I made in the video, where I missed some spots while I was putting it on the pins. But still a worthwhile thing to have. It seems like a pretty neat piece of equipment that I'll definitely play around a lot more in the future with. So that's all for today, just a quick look at the linker. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments or questions about the linker, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Cheers and happy knitting!